Hello everyone, Zadix Squared here, welcome to Clan Krug. So today I wanted to show off a build using the Hunter Exotic Lucky Pants, as well as a few different exotic hand cannons. The way that Lucky Pants works is that when you ready a fully loaded hand cannon that deals kinetic damage or damage type that matches your subclass energy type, each hit from that hand cannon increases the damage of the next shot for a short time against a combatant. That short time happens to be 10 seconds. Hand cannons also ready faster and are more accurate immediately after swapping to them, and it also provides a small benefit to the airborne effectiveness stat of hand cannons while the buff is active. So the last few things are a little bit less important, but the main thing is that bonus damage. So if you look at the clips that I'm showing you here, you can see that using this bonus damage, I'm actually able to, with a primary kinetic hand cannon, I am able to stack up bonus damage up to the point where I'm able to shred through champions in a Legend Lost sector 15 light under. This is the type of thing that I wouldn't be able to do with a primary weapon, even something like Vex Mythoclast, which is one of the higher damage weapons, or like Touch of Malice or anything like that, unless I was on normal. If I'm on a normal activity in a strike or something, I can kill champions like this. But that's the only scenario outside of this one situation where you're running Lucky Pants. The damage bonus for most hand cannons is 60% per stack. So for something like Crimson that stacks it 3 times with every shot since it's a 3-round burst, it stacks up to max stacks, which gives you a 600% damage bonus incredibly quickly. It's able to get off a few shots with that max bonus and just shred through any health bar. For Arianas Vow, it's a little bit different. It only stacks 30% per shot, up into a max of 180%. Theoretically, it could go higher, but because of the fact that it's a slower firing gun with only 9 shots in the round, it's not really possible to get up to higher stacks than 6. To complement Lucky Pants and whichever hand cannon you end up going with, I've chosen to play Solar Hunter to complement this. I'm running Acrobat's Dodge and Weighted Throwing Knife, both of which are able to give us Radiant whenever we use them. Radiant is going to give us a 25% damage bonus, which is just really nice to be able to get some more damage on top of everything else. I'm also running Healing Grenades, Knock them down, On your mark, and then for fragments, I'm running Ember of Searing, Ember of Torches, Ember of Solace, Ember of Wonder, and Ember of Empyrean. Ember of Torches is the most important fragment that we're running here, allowing our Weighted Throwing Knife to give us Radiant whenever we use it. Ember of Solace also increases the time that our Radiant lasts. Ember of Wonder will give us Orbs of Power whenever we ignite things. Ember of Empyrean is going to make it so our weapon or ability final blows extend the duration of Restoration or Radiant effects applied to us. And then Ember of Searing is going to make it so that when we defeat a scorched target, it grants us melee energy and creates a fire sprite. The first two are the most important, being Searing and Solace, because that's just giving us more Radiant. The other 3 are a bit more situational, but they're still helpful, and there's not really any other fragments that would work incredibly well with this build. For mods, starting off, I'm running Heavy Ammo Finder, Powerful Friends, Kinetic Siphon, Kinetic Loader, Concussive Dampener, Sniper Damage Resistance, Solar Resistance, 3 stacks of Kinetic Weapon Surge, and 3 stacks of Time Dilation. This is going to increase the potency of the hand cannon that I've chosen to go with, which is Crimson. It's going to make it so that whenever we're killing things, we're getting Orbs of Power. Our reload speed's going to be increased, which is incredibly helpful. And then if we pick up those Orbs of Power, we get a 23% damage bonus for about 20 seconds per stack, up to 3 stacks. All of these varying damage buffs are going to make it so that we're doing an insane amount of damage, even if we're missing 1 or 2 of them. I would always recommend having Lucky Pants up because that does the most damage out of all of these buffs. But if you don't have either your Weapon Surge or Radiant procced currently, you're still going to be doing a lot of damage, either just with Lucky Pants or just with 2 of them. I also played around with Arianas Vow for a bit. Like I said earlier, it is doing less damage per stack, but because of how Arianas works and the fact that it's a special weapon that does an insane amount of damage at base, it's going to do an insane amount of damage, even though those stacks aren't proccing to as high of an effect. If you have some form of div bubble or attacking something that is really easy to hit consistent crits, then it's going to be even more effective, as its bonus perk is going to make it so that it has a damage buff that will last for every precision hit that you have. If you get it up to where Lucky Pants is max stacked and this damage bonus from Arianas Vow is max stack, you will shred through any champion, major, and even a lot of boss health bars. It's going to be incredibly good to be able to deal damage to bosses. It's not quite as good as a heavy weapon, but it's getting there. Now, as you can probably guess, the main weakness to this build is that you have a 10-second window in order to shoot things. That means that if you get hit by something and you're low when you whip out your hand cannon, you're basically just going to have to put it back away, go dip behind cover, wait those 10 seconds for the damage buff to be able to be procced again, and then keep going. Running double primary here, running a scout alongside Crimson, worked incredibly well. It gave me options when the damage buff from Lucky Pants wasn't currently able to be procced, and it also gave me some range using my staccato, and it also just gave me the ability to, if I needed to dip behind cover, still have a weapon to be able to shoot at things that wasn't my hand cannon. You can still use your hand cannon for primary damage, and I do occasionally. But since your hand cannon has to be at full ammo in the magazine when you swap to it, for the Lucky Pants buff to be able to proc, it is a little bit easier to use a different weapon and just swap to your hand cannon whenever you're using it for the buff, and swap off of it when it's gone. Being able to use Crimson, which is a primary weapon with infinite ammo reserves, to be able to deal with almost all enemies in this lost sector, made it incredibly easy when I got to the boss room, could chip him down with Crimson, and had my super and all of my heavy ammo to be able to deal with the boss and any of the really tanky nightmare majors that also spawn in this lost sector. Even then, I was able to use Crimson to just shred through their health bars. The heavy ammo is just nice for the larger groups since I'm running a grenade launcher here, which is really good for AoE damage. Arianas Vow unfortunately has a few more issues, and I wasn't as much of a fan running it, at least in something like a solo lost sector. Its biggest disadvantage is that it's a special weapon with special ammo, and you run out of it pretty quickly if you're using it in a solo activity trying to shred through every single tanky enemy bar in the entire lost sector with it. I am running a scout that has shoot to loot, which makes it a little bit easier to shoot and get that special ammo when it drops, but unfortunately the issue really just seemed to be that it wasn't dropping as often as I needed it. Especially when I got to the boss, I was able to defeat the boss, but I did have to rely a lot more heavily on my heavy ammo and my super than I really would have liked to be able to deal with the boss and even the champions and other adds that were in that room than when I was running Crimson, just because I kept running out of special ammo. This build is definitely just one of my favorite hunter builds, and it even matches a lot of Titan builds in my opinion. The damage bonus that you get from Lucky Pants is outstanding and really just makes it feel like you're playing a completely different game. It's really effective in, as you can see, Legend Lost Sectors. If I'm slightly higher power level, it would be really good in Master Lost Sectors, and it can even be used in GMs. I would definitely recommend this build to anyone who wants to play Hunter, especially if you've never played Hunter before just because you don't like their usual playstyle. It really just makes them into a DPS king against any adds and any majors or champions that you come across. That being said, thanks for watching, guys. I've been Zadok Squared. If you have any suggestions for this build and or any other builds, as always, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Love to have a talk about what you guys think is really strong right now. I do know that there are certain things that I am completely avoiding, looking at you, Warlock, and I'm kind of doing that on purpose because I think a lot of other people are already talking about how incredibly strong Osseous Striga and Necrotic Grips are together. But if you guys would like me to talk about that, please let me know, and I definitely will. With that in mind, thanks for watching, everyone. See ya.